Making a choice about education for your children is one of the more difficult choices that a parent faces.
Sure is. And you and I have had a variety of educational experiences in our own lives, which have informed how we've made choices for our children.
You can listen in to this conversation on our next episode.
Please join us.
This is Trustworthy. Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Mary Beth. Join us for conversations in community.
Established by a trustworthy God. Well, good morning, Mary Beth.
Good morning, Sarah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. I am excited to see that when you came to our professional podcast recording studio, that you were attired in a somewhat festive red plaid shirt. And of course, you noticed right away that I greeted you in a pair of cute and cozy buffalo check pajamas.
That's right. We're not letting go of Christmas yet.
Well, I am on my vacation.
That's true.
Now, by the time listeners, you hear this, I will no longer be on vacation. But right now I'm on vacation and I'm enjoying that very much.
And hopefully by the time people hear this, some of the Christmas things in my house will be packed away. But we're recording this on Epiphany. And as I was telling Sarah, we don't pack anything up until after we celebrate the wise men meeting Jesus.
Yes, neither do I. In fact, I wait a couple more days till Elvis' birthday.
That great church historical holiday. Elvis Presley's birthday.
That's right. Hey, he sang some good gospel songs. All right. Okay. But
what are we really here to talk about?
Joking aside, we're here to talk about something that affects our lives almost 180 days a year,
at
if
least,
not more.
Yeah.
And that's the decision on how to educate our children. So we're in a series of podcast episodes about educational choices. Mary Beth and I have so far in our parenting lives arrived at the same decision on how to educate our children, but there are definitely a different path to that decision making. And also our children are different ages. My son is in his first year of high school, and Mary Beth's children are both still in elementary school.
Yeah, first and third grade.
Well, I know for myself, as my son got older, different factors came into the decision making. So,
Sure.
Yeah, but we do both send our kids to public school here, and
in fact, in the same exact school district,
which is helpful.
Well, it is for a lot of reasons. One of which is my boys like to see your son at community events around the high school because they think it's really cool that they know one of the older kids.
Oh, yeah. I think we've talked about this before, like football games.
Yeah. But we thought today, after having a good conversation in the previous episode with Tina Hammer about her experience with homeschooling, we thought, maybe we should share our own background, what our education experience was, because as any parent knows, you're bringing into your decision-making your own life experience. That's informing how you're approaching things. And so we thought we'd share a little bit about that and how that has played into our decisions and our families about what to do with our choices for education for our own children. Even as I say that, we recognize that it's great to be able to have choices.
It certainly is. Do we begin at the beginning, or do we begin in the middle, or do we begin at the end? Well, I guess we already began at the end because we've said that all of our boys are in public school. So that's the end of the story. But maybe let's go back to the beginning.
All right.
Yeah. If we're going to go to the beginning chronologically, since
first.
I'm a month older, we'll start with me.
Thanks for falling on the sword there, Sarah.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Would you like me to ask you a question?
Always.
Sarah, where did you go to kindergarten?
Public school in New York State, and I lived in Pennsylvania.
Tell us more about that.
Ooh, yes. My parents chose it because they felt that the educational offerings in New York State were a little stronger than what was available in our local public school in Pennsylvania. Not saying that this is true of all districts across the state, but in this particular case, they liked that choice better. The experience there was really pretty good. I had an amazing kindergarten teacher. She actually taught my brother and then my niece, and some family affair. But I was there kindergarten to third. Then there was a new Christian school that opened up in another nearby town in New York State, and my parents sent me there. Luckily, there was some friends that also went from our church, and we would kind of carpool a little bit.
Were you part of the first class of students here?
I started there the second year that it was, but it was not many kids the first year. It was very small. It did grow. We moved buildings. It was good. I had some great experiences there. Some amazing teachers, made some great friends who I'm still in contact with. It was a good thing. And then that school went up to 8th grade. And then I went back to the public school from 9th to 12th, which was awesome because I got to play basketball and sing in the chorus and all that sort of thing.
What was the transition like to go from Christian school to public high school?
It was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was hard.
In what ways?
I wasn't used to having to keep my head down to not make waves and get picked on. I just did and said whatever I wanted. I mean, that sounds terrible, but like people in high school know what I'm talking about. But then probably after 9th grade, 10th grade, I just kind of didn't care much anymore, and I just didn't. About
what people thought of you, you mean?
So, and I think that it's good because it definitely made me the person I am today. It made me more resilient. It also made me, it probably needed to be knocked down a couple notches.
Yeah.
Filter what I said. It was probably good. The feedback of your peers.
Sometimes there's positive peer pressure.
Sometimes there's positive things. But no, I think my parents made good choices. My brother also went to the Christian school for a while, but he went back to public school before I did. So,
and then how did you decide what to do after high school?
Oh, yeah. I had been focused on going to a Christian college. So I went to Eastern College, which is not Eastern University, close by here, actually, less than an hour away. And then I was there for the first year, but I transferred to Millersville University, State University, and that was good. And I stayed there for a while, full time. Then I went to part time. Then I stopped. And then I ended up getting my automotive management degree from Northwood University. Yeah. So that's my
quite a little trail there. Lots of different educational experiences.
Trail. And I just say in our family, I'm trying to think if we have anyone that went to college for 4 years and graduated. I think all of us have transferred, have stopped, have gone back, have gotten adult degree. Like, I don't know that there's any one of us, unless those of us who've married into our family, they did it. My dad went to 3 universities, I think. And wow. Yeah, that's sort of our family hallmark.
Yeah.
Circuitous education.
Well, you're living proof that you can make changes and it's okay.
Yeah. And that's what Tina was talking to us about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how about you, Mary Beth? Tell us your little educational journey.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm struck by some of the similarities in our lives because I did not have a straight line trajectory either. My mom was my first teacher. She homeschooled me kindergarten through 2nd grade. She had also homeschooled my older siblings when they were in the younger grades as well. And it was great. I don't remember a whole lot from that time, but I remember that I liked it. In 3rd grade, I started in public school. And then we actually moved to a different place in Georgia because my parents wanted us to be in a Christian school that was started by a church that they had attended before they had children and really wanted that opportunity for us. So from 4th through 12th grade, I was at private Christian school that had been started by my church and was still affiliated. And that was my whole world growing up. So my friends from school, a lot of them were also my friends from church. A lot of them lived close by. I could walk to some of their houses. And it was a great little bubble to grow up in. I felt very prepared academically for life. I also felt that I was getting reinforcement at school with what my parents were teaching me at home about worldview and the gospel. Not every teacher at my school was the same denomination as our church, but there was just a lot of reinforcing the same principles and ideas. And so I came out of high school with a very strong sense of my own relationship with the Lord, in addition to kind of this academic background. Now, some of my closest friends growing up came out of the same school, with no relationship with the Lord, and, have not found that in their lives yet. I still have hope that might happen someday. But so not to say that the Christian school guaranteed anything for me, but from my own personal experience, it was positive. And then, after high school, I thought, okay, I'm tired of being in this happy little bubble. I want to go far away and do something different. And so I chose to go to college in Texas at Baylor, which we kind of talked about it as Baptist light. And I felt there that it actually was more of a Baylor bubble than I was anticipating. And then for that reason and some financial reasons, I decided to transfer my junior year to the University of Georgia, major public university with over 30,000 students. And I loved it. That was it. After that, I said, okay, no more school for me. I'm done. So that was my little journey. And again, I think you mentioned this too. It's looking back in hindsight, you see the value in how God was working in each of those scenarios. Who knows what would have happened if I'd had different experiences, but I'm grateful for the ones that I did.
So do you know what a sword drill is?
Oh yeah, like where they say a book of the Bible or a verse or something, and you have to race to find it.
We used to do those for fun.
At school? Oh
yeah. Did you do them for school?
I remember doing them in Sunday school at church.
I guess I better teach my son the books of the Bible.
Well, it's a good transition point, Sarah, because as we mentioned at the top of the episode, your family, my family, we've chosen to put our children into public school. I guess there's two questions there. Answer whichever one you want to first. How did you reach that decision? And having some Christian school background in your own life, have you thought about, what is different in your experience versus your son's?
Those are both very good questions. One is easier than the other to answer. So I'll answer the easy one first. How did we arrive at the decision? Well, when he was little, I was a single mom, and I was able to find a preschool program that he could attend that I did not have to pay for, which was super important. That was a full day program. And then when he was getting ready to go to kindergarten, I lived in a district that was a half day program, but I had been counting on the full day program for childcare. Again, single mom, very little income. So I was like, what can I do? So I actually moved to Lancaster City Public School District because they had a full day kindergarten program. And I chose to live in the area with the best of the city elementary schools. And it was great. The neighborhood was lovely that I lived in, and we had such great neighbors. The school was a block and a half away. I got to walk to school with him. I volunteered in the classroom. Overall, his experience was not as positive as mine.
Yeah.
But that's okay. And I did actually consider even sending him to private Christian school for kindergarten. But at that point, it came down to the money. And I knew that this was a good public school. One of my friends was friends with the principal. It was a good environment if you were going to have an environment, right? So not knowing, we went in, and he did learn some interesting things there that first year, but it was good. And I didn't really think that he would be in the public school system his entire educational career, but I knew that for that time that was the right choice, if that makes sense. We'll switch to Mennonite school when it's time. So that was my plan. And then when I married my husband and we moved to Chester County, there was a lovely Christian school in this area. That had been our plan. And I had just happened to have dinner the summer we moved here and sat next to a woman who went to our church that did speech pathology in
the public schools
in Delaware, actually. But she sent her kids to our local elementary school. And she just said to me, Sarah, do you need to just look at this school? She said, it's a public-private school. It's so good. And I was like, okay, really? And we went over and we visited the school, and I was overwhelmed. Wow. And it turns out that one of the teachers went to our church. It just was one of those things where God was very clear that this was the choice for you to make. So luckily I was able to get most of my deposit back. I think like we made the decision like right before school started, and he started first grade, and it was definitely the right choice. He had had a really bad experience. Like I said, his perspective was not positive. And for kindergarten. Right, exactly. So going into first grade, his teacher she was new at the school that year. It was a perfect combination. And she just made the school experience completely different for him. And he still talks about how amazing his time was. Like, I've noticed a lot of the kids in our district that I run into, they love their elementary schools and they speak with such fondness. So I've seen characteristics of each of our elementary schools now that we've been through the middle school and the high school, and I know the kids on my team and stuff like that. I've gotten so much positive feedback about all these elementary schools.
Well, and so now you mentioned he's in 9th grade.
Yes.
So he's been in the public school system the whole time.
Yep.
Was there ever another thought about switching?
Oh, yeah.
What's that looked like for y'all?
When we went through the COVID time and we had to do distance learning, that we thought about, what do we do here? But we stuck with it. Again, like Tina said, we're going to homeschool for as long as it works for our family. And we've been in the camp that we're going to do the public school for as long as it works for our family. And it's kept working. There have been some times that I wasn't sure and we weren't sure. And I still don't know if we're making the right choice. Yeah, I guess my son can sit down someday and say they made the right choice or they made the wrong choice. I don't know. That'll be his hindsight conversation. Hello, listeners. Mary Beth and I are so grateful that you've chosen to listen to our podcast. If you're looking for back episodes, or maybe you heard something that you want to share with someone else, you can head on over to trustworthypodcast.com, where you will find a list of all the episodes in easy to share format, along with show notes and transcripts. Thanks so much for listening.
Well, and hopefully like us with our own hindsight, we can see how God was working wherever we were. But I hear you. It's like so many things in parenting. We're often wondering if we're making the right decision.
Yeah, constantly, every day. I mean, but for the grace of God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Middle school was really rough, but I have heard that about every middle school.
Middle school is just rough time of life.
Yeah.
So then to my second question that I had asked on this, looking back at your own experience with some of that Christian school background, and you intended to do that with your son, but then plans changed. What has been your thoughts on his public school experience versus a Christian school experience?
If he had that. Yeah. So in part of my constant reprocessing and second guessing and decision making, I've had a lot of conversations with parents that have homeschooled, are homeschooling, have sent their kids to other schools, other Christian schools, maybe the one I was considering or some other ones. And some of the issues that we've had in the public school are the same issues that they've had. Like they're just universal issues. Yeah. So I don't think jumping ship would fix it. There are some cons to public school and I feel those, but boy, there's a lot of pros too. And so for us, for him, the pros are still stronger. And that's kind of where we are. And I think that I have some friends that they send their kids to, Unionville Child's Ford like we do, but then they have other children in their family that they send to a private school or whatever. And it's just because every child is different.
Yeah.
And you can't always make a blanket decision. And I think it's important to say that we are so blessed to even be able to make this decision, to have this conversation.
Right.
There are many people in our world that just cry for any education for their child. And so being able to dip in and out of tuition, not tuition, live in a school district that is as well funded as ours. I mean, these are,
privileged problems,
first world problems.
Yes. Well, and our children obviously are younger than your son. So we're I feel like still very much at the beginning of our educational journey with them. But my husband and I were very intentional when we moved here. Our older son was a baby. And so we were looking at where to live and what do we want to think about schools and all of those things. I think I mentioned this before. My husband grew up public school all the way through kindergarten, all the way through college. He had the straight line trajectory and he was 100% comfortable with, sending whatever children we would have to public school. And with my background being so different, it was a bit of a mental leap for me. I was not, our kids have to go to Christian school. It was more of a, what do I really think about this? What do we want out of our kids' education? What are the criteria we're even looking for? And again, as you mentioned, this is amazing to have these choices and these options. So for us, that played into where we bought our house. We visited churches. Once we decided to go to Willowdale Chapel, we decided, okay, we want to buy a home in this school district, which at the time was actually feasible. I say that for people listening now, it's not that easy to just say, I want to buy a house in the school district.
It's not.
So I say that with hopefully some humility that we were able to do that. And my whole mentality going into it is my children were born at this time. God planned for them to be here. He planned for them to be in these schools. He planned for them to be in our family. And there are a lot of hard things about being in public school, coming from a Christian family. And I just have to keep holding to that promise that God has them there for a reason. There are wonderful conversations that I've been able to have with my boys, things that they are facing and questioning and talking through that I never had to because I was in such a bubble that was constantly affirming me. They are actually thinking it through for themselves at a much younger age than I ever did. And I think there are great things about that. There's terrifying things about that as a mom. You don't want your kids to be exposed to everything under the sun, and you don't want them to choose to be around people that are negatively influencing them. But as you said, some of that's going to happen wherever they are. It's just a part of being in the world and being human. But our mentality is similar to what you said. Unless there's some compelling reason to change course, either based on the child or based on something else God shows us, our plan is to stick it through. But it's not easy. And as we often talk about, you shouldn't be doing it alone. So maybe that's what we talk about next is how have we found community, Christian community, as parents of public school kids?
One of the first things that come to mind is our prayer group. We're part of Mothers in Prayer, and we'll put a link to their page in our show notes. But that's been a really wonderful way to connect and to process some of these decisions. And this is a group of mothers that meets once a week to pray for the school district and for their kids. And there's chapters in a lot of school districts and for a lot of schools in this area.
Yeah, I mean, my mom did it when I was growing up, even at my Christian school. Yeah, so it's all moms of students in our school district, but elementary through high school, all meeting together.
Yeah. And it's been incredibly helpful because not only have I made some amazing friends, but I've gotten some really good support, encouragement from women whose children are older than mine. I've gotten a lot of good advice. I've had encouragement to wrestle through this question. Do we keep them in? Do we pull them out? What do we do? And I could just see the hand of God in that. In sixth grade, I was really considering it. And then the mountain biking opportunity came up. We started the team, and that was a clear answer. Looking back, a clear answer from God. No, y'all are exactly where you need to be. Yeah. And that was sustaining for both myself and for him and our family. And then for other families too, giving kids a chance to be part of a group that is affirming and challenging and similar to the small, close-knit community I had in my Christian school.
One of the benefits of being in the public school system, which you mentioned in your own high school experiences, there's just a lot more opportunity for students to do things. But I think there's also a lot more opportunity as parents to get to know other people in the community, to help out with things at school. I know you and I have done a variety of different things. I'm sure you have more than I over the years because you've been there longer, but things like Homer Mom or helping out with PTO. You mentioned your mountain biking team that you started. There's different ways to connect and plug in. And to me, again, it's all about perspective. It's how are we being salt and light? How are we helping create the culture and the community within our own school district? And I've been so encouraged when I look at the list of the parents and the moms who are active at our elementary school, which is a different elementary school than where your son went, how many believers are in those classrooms, are heading things up. We're really engaged and we're supporting the school. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. And that's one of the pros to me of being in the public school system is, I want to say this carefully, we are being proactively engaged in the community in that specific way. If your kids are at private school or homeschool, you can obviously be engaged in the community as well. The way that my family primarily is doing it is through the people and the opportunities that are connected with our school district. And I've been surprised, maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but when we first moved here, there were not a lot of families with kids, our kids' ages, who were coming to our church, even though it is very central to our school district. And even in the past 12 months, there have been many more families that have been coming. And so I really think that God is at work in our school district. And as you mentioned, our Moms in Prayer group has been a great just reminder to me. And as we share stories of what God is doing, that he is at work there. And that's been an encouragement to me in the sense of finding Christian community in the public school space.
As I have come to understand, because I'm involved with different folks in different departments through my son's experiences, through my experiences as a coach with the team that I helped start, the group effort of starting our team, I've been blown away by the compassion and the dedication and just how so many folks are laying their lives down for our kids in every department, in every level, in the janitorial staff and the bus drivers and the teachers and the administrators and the elementary school teachers and the gym teacher. I mean, just the music department, I am blown away, truly. And when you can get that inside perspective, which I believe I am privileged to do, I just tell people, these people love our kids. I'm telling you, they really do. And I said that I was concerned or wasn't sure what to do when he was in 6th grade, and then the mountain biking thing came up. And one of the reasons why I knew it was such a good confirmation is that I was able to create deeper relationships with administrators and teachers and personnel at the school.
Yeah.
And it gave me such an insight into how much they care.
Yeah. We're extremely grateful for this school district. You said this earlier, when we moved here, many people said the same thing to us, that this is basically a private school experience in a public school setting. And I too have been consistently encouraged by how much the administrators and the teachers really are invested in what's happening, which isn't true in every school district across America. So,
and I think it's worthwhile to interject a thought. I don't know that I would make the decision for public school if I lived in a different district.
That's a fair thought. Yeah.
So I don't want this to be, right, you think this, you think that. No, this is not what we're saying. We're not espousing any one choice.
Right.
We're trying to be open about the choices and the thought processes we've made, again, in the hopes that you find it interesting.
Yeah.
And helpful.
that you
find
listening.
It helpful. Yeah.
And that, I was thinking of another question as you were discussing these things. I mentioned how growing up in a Christian school, I was getting reinforcement of all of these ideas in, kind of all areas of life. Where have you, or how have you been able to help your son find Christian community and find that community of, encouragement, reinforcement, having been in a public school setting where that's not being reinforced in the classroom necessarily?
I don't think I've done a very good job with that.
I honestly think that's the hardest challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Even with my boys being as young as they are, that their best friends naturally are the ones from school. And they're great kids there. Like, we love their friends. But when they come to church on Sunday morning, they're not really seeing many people from school. And so they don't have a lot of touch points outside of church of what it means to really live in community with believers. That to me is the biggest challenge for me personally, of our boys being in the public school setting. Well,
maybe I'm doing a better job than I think. I don't know. We are very lucky that, well, I don't think luck is the right word. God has orchestrated it so that there are some other Christian families on our mountain biking team. Also, our son had attended FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and he has a fair number of kids that he goes to school with that do attend our church and that he's involved in youth group with. In fact, he saw one of the kids when they went back to school, and they're planning on going to the high school winter youth group retreat. It was one of those things where he's like, I don't know if anybody else is going. And then the other kid's like, well, I didn't sign up because I didn't think anybody was going. And they're like, oh, we're both going. Great. And so these conversations are happening in school, which is awesome.
Yeah.
There definitely is a lot of crossover. And so I guess I would say that as a parent, what could I do to reinforce this? Continue to make sure he gets to youth group. Continue to make sure he connects at church with the kids that he's seeing in school. And then encourage him, like his summer camp that he goes to is a Christian camp. He loves that. So just making sure, paving the way for him to do that sort of thing, I guess. And then I am remiss in reading the Bible with him. That is something that I'm just going to be totally forthright about. We've dipped in and out. We've done it consistently. We've not done it consistently.
Yeah.
But we do. I do try to have a scripture focused conversation with him. I don't know. I try every day, but certainly a few times a week.
Well, it's hard. I mean, I think that is, again, one of the hardest challenges. And I tell my boys this all the time, that our family life is going to look different from some of the families around them. They're trying to sort out, because they're still young. Does going to church, is that what counts? Because these people in my class go to church, but they don't
act like me,
say and do these things, or they're allowed to do this, or they're allowed to watch this. And, not that it's all about performative moral things, but at their age, that's as much as they can comprehend,
Right.
And they're trying to figure that out. You keep saying our family's different and we view things this way and we're following the Bible. What does that mean?
And that leads me to a question for you. How are you incorporating these things? What are the actual things that you're doing in your home to reinforce these values that were, again, like you said, you and I got in school,
right,
in a Christian school?
Right. Yeah, I came out of high school knowing every major world religion and what the tenets of it were and how it differed from Christianity. I mean, I had such an amazing experience that's part of the struggle in my mind is that all on me now? Am I supposed to be teaching him everything that I learned in Christian school?
Yeah.
No, not necessarily. It's my children's life is not what my childhood was. We're not trying to duplicate. We're trying to live into where God has them. But we did try, emphasis on try, to start doing family Bible study in the spring, I guess it was. And then, to be perfectly honest, sports got in the way. And when certain things are on certain nights, that throws off, the schedule. And so we got out of the habit of it in the fall. And Stephen and I were just talking about how we want to get back into that rhythm of doing that weekly with the boys. And I mean, they're 6 and 8 years old. They don't pay attention half the time. They're running around and like poking each other. But that's one way we're attempting to do it, is like do some family study. As you know, we host our adult small group at our house once a week. And I think that's the other part of it, is just us living out our own faith, them observing how we're living, what we prioritize. They'll be absorbing that too. Again, I think there's a lot that they will not learn that I learned, especially in the teenage years. And I have to trust God with that, right? But I think that, again, the hardest thing for me is, how do I help them see Christian community and value it, not as an end itself, but as the beautiful way that God has us live here on earth, and has us, we get to know him better. We can, all the things. I don't need to go into it, but that was a rambling answer to your question.
No, it answered my question. I mean, I think we've both tried some of the same things.
Yeah.
And it is hard to be consistent. I struggle to read my own Bible every day.
Right.
So,
and I think too, maybe this is me being too optimistic, because as you're admitting, we never do this perfectly. As my boys get older and they can understand heavier things, I would hope that we can have some more intentional conversations and things going on with them. But for now, we're just trying to, there's like memory verses that I'm holding up air quotes, learned about 10 times, because we forget them, and we'll do them for a year. And then, I'll ask the boys, hey, do you remember what this verse is? And they're like, what are you talking about? So, just gotta,
it's okay.
Yeah.
But it'll come back out someday. I think we've already been covering this, but we were asking some of our friends, what were the challenges and blessings, like the pros and cons, so to speak, of your choice. So in a succinct answer, Mary Beth, what are the challenges and blessings?
Challenges would be, you mean in terms of public school choice?
Yeah,
for
your
education?
choice for your family. Yep.
Challenges are, I'm always on high alert about curriculum and what is being taught in the schools. And so to me, it's a good challenge that I, as a parent, need to stay very engaged in what's going on. I have to be very involved and proactive and all those things. Second challenge is what I mentioned before, just that the boys are surrounded by people who do not share our family's worldview. And so we're just constantly running into that day after day. Blessings are, they're getting a great education with teachers who care about them. We have gotten to know so many wonderful families because of their school, and a lot of their, friends from school will be on the same sports team as them and outside of school. And we live in a small town, so we run into people everywhere we go. And that sense of community building and just the people that we've gotten to know has been a huge blessing. And I think the other blessing is that they like it. They're enjoying school, which, well, some days, but for the most part, they actually enjoy where they are, which I think is a blessing too. What about you? Same question.
Same question. Yeah. The challenges are swimming upstream. We're different. So we're going to run into that very different worldview from a lot of other families, different choices. That's a big one. The other challenge is technology.
Yeah.
My son's experience, and I think they may be swinging back the other direction, I'm hoping, by the time your kids are in middle school and high school. But my son's experience has been 100% of homework instruction, especially middle school, was computer-based. And I don't know how you're supposed to learn math using a computer. That has led to, by the way, this is universal because I've talked to other parents. The kids, this tool, and I'm using air quotes when I say this word, this tool has also become their master.
Yeah.
The children are given this tool.
And then they crave it.
And then they crave it.
And rely on it.
And rely on it.
Yep.
And what they're craving is the content that is available to them that they're not capable of filtering. And so that is my biggest complaint. But I don't know if you homeschool, your kid has to be on the computer too. So I'm not really sure that that's probably universal. So I think that's more a nostalgia back to the way things were when I was a kid, because we didn't have to be a generational challenge. Yeah.
But I mean, there are differences in how different schools handle it. Again,
Well, certainly.
Back to, we live in a very well-funded school district. So there's a lot of
technology available.
Yes.
So I think those are probably the two biggest cons. And the pros, oh my goodness, caring teachers, opportunities like mountain biking team, opportunities like he loves to sing, so he's in these amazing vocal groups. The way that the school gives so many choices of activities and clubs and trips and just everything is at our children's fingertips. That it's amazing. You just wouldn't get this. Our special education department, I know from talking to parents and teachers, is one of the best, is just so good. We have so many on staff occupational therapists and speech pathologists and just different people that work so hard for our kids. And I think one of the other things that's a real asset in our school district is the deep community ties. This is probably true of lots of public schools.
Well, especially in small towns.
In small towns, right.
The area kind of like where we live.
Yeah. There are people that they went there, their kids went there, their grandchildren went there, teachers that are teaching multiples of the same families. And you just get these roots, these community ties, this sense of belonging to a place, shared experience. We've talked about this a lot in our community. So I think that, as you mentioned, seeing people around town, going to church with those people, going to school with those people, making those connections. One of my friends from our mountain biking team had a party, and she was saying to me, it is so funny when we started inviting people just to realize how many areas of our lives overlap.
Yeah. I was going to say one more challenge, because as I'm hearing our own conversation, again, this is specific to our experience. One other challenge that has stuck out in my mind since we moved here, since we chose this specific school district, is there is so much abundance here. There are so many opportunities, which are great. The flip side of that coin is my boys expect there to always be abundance and opportunities and anything at their fingertips. And that can sometimes be not so great. And so that's a challenge for us as parents, to us being me and my husband, is getting them, how do I say this? Making sure they have a healthy relationship with opportunity, and making sure that they're also connected to ways to serve, ways to see need, ways to meet need, ways to restrain from consuming. You get where I'm going with this.
I do. I mean, same with stuff.
Yeah.
And the wealth that we find ourselves smack dab in the middle of in Southern Chester County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed talking through all this with you, Sarah.
Yeah. I've enjoyed talking to you too, Mary Beth. The main point of this conversation and all these conversations we're having is your child's education is your responsibility.
Yeah.
So make that pie chart or that list, or however you are going to do it, of the things that a child needs in their education. If you're going to a Christian school, some of those slices of pie will be filled in and some won't. If you're going to a public school, different slices of pie will be filled in and others might be blank.
Yeah.
And if you're homeschooling, same thing. Some of those slices of pie are going to be filled in. I'm getting hungry for pie.
I've eaten a lot of pie in the past few weeks around Christmas time.
No more pie. So. And then find ways to fill in those empty wedges.
Yeah. And that whatever your decision is for your children, for your family, one, it doesn't have to be permanent. And two, especially for those who are married, I think it's really important that you're on the same page about it. Don't make decisions if you and your spouse are not unified on it, because God works through that as well. So that would be my exhortation, is making sure y'all have the same point of view about it.
That's a good parenting point as well, to be unified with your spouse. Even if you're making the wrong decision, make the wrong decision together, right? Because having
deal with the consequences together.
Right, exactly. Because our children it's easier for them to regulate their emotions and their feelings and just everything when they know that their parents are united front. Yeah. So, yeah.
And God's in it. God has your children.
Mm-hmm.
He has plans for their lives. Their lives are not your lives, but you get the privilege of being a part of their lives. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, which actually brings up a point that Tina made in her interview. A lot of us want to educate our children the same way we were educated, but don't fall into that trap, because your child is a different person than you are.
Living in a different time. Yeah. In a different place.
Exactly. Yep. Well, thanks for tuning in. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Mary Beth.
And this is Trustworthy.
Hey y'all, Mary Beth here. Sarah and I are so glad that you chose to listen to our podcast. And while we think that we're awesome friends to have, we just wanted to clarify that we are not mental health professionals and want you to know that this podcast should not take the place of any paid professional advice.
Hey listeners, we've been hearing from a lot of you how much you're enjoying our podcast.
We'd appreciate it if you would follow and subscribe on whatever streaming service you use, so that more people can find out about Trustworthy.
Thanks for listening, and thanks for the encouragement. Talk to you soon.